following real events chronology is not yet completed, but we have posted this partial narration to help others who might be experiencing something similar. Please check back on YouTube in the next few days for the final piece, which will contain pictures and video.
A series of events happened to a friend of mine over the past year in Foster City, California. Listen to the story carefully, without judging too quickly, and see if this sounds familiar. At the end, I'll give you my theory on who is responsible and reasons why. In 2006, my friend started hearing odd noises at night outside of his townhouse in Foster City. It seemed as though people were peeking into the windows late at night while he worked on his computer, and he would hear noises that were strange and unfamiliar during the night hours. As a result, he left his outside lights illuminated at night, but keeping the lights on became an ongoing chore as bulbs burned out within days of replacement. One night at about 3 a.m. he heard someone trying to unscrew the outside fixture to take out the bulb. On one particular evening, he finally spotted an Asian lady running from his townhouse back to a neighbor's townhouse. He called the Foster City police. But oddly enough, when they came out to investigate, they refused to even try to raise anyone from the home next door, and then treated him like he was imagining the events. As you might expect, he was frustrated. After many nights of this, he decided to gather his own evidence to find out who was doing this nightly torment by placing a webcam in the areas of the house where the noises could be heard. Although a seemingly good idea, the strange events accelerated when the responsible parties realized that a camera was placed in the area. From this point on, the nights around his house became aggressive with incredibly odd things happening outside and now, inside the home too. It is at this point that my friend's situation transformed into something like a story from the X-Files. He wasn't sure what he was seeing, but reported strange dark shadow-like figures running throughout the house. His webcam caught these shadows. One morning after a night of the ongoing activities, he sent a video file to a friend of ours and her husband in Kentucky. She noticed something on the video that he had not noticed. She saw a small dark shadow person, similar to a child, sitting on the steps behind his desk. She alerted my friend to this, and he saw it too. But, here's the really odd thing, when our friend tried to show the video file to her husband, the small shadow person was now gone from the video. My friend was having similar problems with video cameras capturing odd events in and outside of the house, but by the time he was able to get the file to a third party to review, the video no longer contained the strange elements that the camera had noted earlier.
Although we have much more to tell regarding this series of events and are not yet finished with the narration, here is the concluding segment that you may find helpful.
So, there you have it. Very strange, don't you agree? But you might find our explanation of who is responsible even more odd, and a little scary too. Who, pray tell, would do something like this? Aliens? Ghosts? Demons? People from the future? Well, in essence, all of the above are possible, but the leader of this group, and directly, is God himself. It appears that God does this often to individuals at random, using a technique of real-world attention-getting events to transition the target from the real world to the paranormal world. Why does he do this? We have asked ourselves this question many times, and we have come to an uncomfortable answer. In spite of his great powers, God is not an intelligent being. Powerful, yes. Intelligent and full of love, most certainly not. This seems to be why the major governments around the world have not directly addressed the issue of aliens. For years, people have thought that governments were hiding information, but the reality is that the governments probably lack definite physical evidence. And like my friend, even if they did have evidence at some point, it would vanish. When you are God, you can do incredible things. We have also come to the conclusion that aliens do not exist. God uses amber-type clouds and other props to create an illusion, but in reality, there have never been such visitors here on Earth. In spite of all the bad news here, that is a bit of good news at the end of the day. Of course, having a mean and spiteful God is both alarming and sad. To realize that God exists for many would be wonderful news, but then she finds out that he actually plays the Satan role more than the loving, good God role is incredibly disappointing. Faith, of course, is a personal issue. My friend still leads his life in honor of Jesus Christ because that gives him hope. Here's how he explains it to me. The idea of Jesus in the Bible may be fictional in reality, but the character and love that Jesus demonstrates in the Bible lives in all of us every day throughout the world. He says that the key learning he got from this experience is that we have each other and we should cherish our friends, neighbors, and family every minute of the day. His view is that God probably does not understand or even respect this trait of men, and this is why he will take such aggressive actions on all types of people. Now, here is some advice and listen carefully because it could save your months of wasted time, money, and hits to your reputation. If you see events of this trend happening in your life, ignore them. This, he says, will be hard to do because God will literally get in your face to be noticed. Also remember that leading a good life means nothing to this God, so although it is the right thing to do, don't think that will rid you of the torment and odd happenings. The key, he says, and I believe him, is to ignore it and try not to be alone and be around other people as much as you possibly can. But remember, ignore it. He will eventually go away. Recently we discussed how the Bible might be rewritten based on the knowledge of these events. We decided that the hope that comes from the Bible and other similar books in other religions is well-founded. But probably, they could all be summed up by the following: be good to each other, be good to yourself, and lead a great life. It's that simple.
Recently Pope Benedict announced that the Catholic Church is reporting an increase in possessions worldwide. We believe that this event is related to the increase that the Pope has noted. If this happens to you or someone you love, remain calm. Be around other people as much as you can. And, this is very important, do not be fooled into believing that religious artifacts such as crosses and Bibles will rid you of the events and happenings. This, unfortunately, is God's trick. The key, as Lucy mentioned, is to ignore the unusual events, or at the most, chuckle at them and then grab a friend and go see a good movie.